Hey guys, coming in for Supergirl Season 1, Episode 3, Fight or Flight, and I was looking forward to this episode. I know I've been enjoying the show maybe a bit more than others have, and some people might not like that, because I know a lot of people aren't enjoying the show, but I'm really getting into it, definitely. I think it's a really good show. However, I will admit this was probably my favorite, my least favorite of the three. Only because it didn't have that big of a story, and it definitely was more of just a fun episode. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's something wrong with having a fun episode. I don't have a problem with that. But we are on episode 3, and we don't get anything with the Astra plot. I mean, I know we're going to see it, and they're trying to stretch it out. Just saying, it would have been nice to see it. But overall, I did really enjoy this episode. This was a fun episode overall. And there was some really great stuff in this episode, definitely. Don't get me wrong. I still thought there was some really great stuff here, but let's just get into it. So, we start off right away with Cat's interview. As we know, Cat wanted an interview from Supergirl. Kara didn't want to give it to her, but they decided to give it to her. We see Cat, she's looking up at the flowing Supergirl, says she's ready to answer questions that Cat has. And Cat asks her some very compelling questions. In fact, I think her questions are pretty justified. I can understand the questions that Cat wants to ask her. She wants to ask her, like, where she is, and, why she's doing this now, why it takes so long, where has she been, things like that. I thought these were overall very reasonable questions. I don't think they were bad questions by any means, and, then she realizes that she has the same backstory as Superman, and I'm like, oh shit, this is not gonna end well. And the two are going back and forth, Kara's trying to do whatever she can and not reveal the truth, and then unfortunately slips out that she's Superman's cousin, and, basically, she realizes that she's already said too much. She flies off because obviously she can't trust Cat. Cat, like I said, is a gossip. She will do whatever she can for good news coverage, and she flies off while Cat shouts questions about her, and she gets away before she can ask her any further questions, which was smart of her to do, definitely. And you really see that be one of the big conflicts this episode is Kara maybe telling a few too many people a few too many things. So later at a diner, Kara eats sticky buns at breakfast, and both Alex and James show up to meet her. Kara flirts with James, and you can tell these two are definitely close, and Alex is very suspicious, but Kara protests that they're just friends, but Alex isn't buying it, and I like Kara and James, I will say that, but I do think that Kara and Wynn have just as great as a chance. She also wants people to stop telling about Supergirl, of course. She wants her to stop telling people because it's not safe, and the more people know, the more easy it is for her to be targeted, and of course, that's when the report comes on TV. And, it is true. I think she has told too many people. Not necessarily Kara's fault. It's more of just, she's had this opportunity. She really didn't know how to handle it, and she just told a few too many people. I think we're all guilty of something like that, and I think I'm not upset that she did that. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's stupid, but it goes with the character. I was completely fine with that, and, yeah, so I like the advice that Alex gave her, and then they see the report on TV that Kat has revealed her relationship to Superman. Obviously, Kara's really upset because she wanted it to be strictly an interview. She wanted this to strictly just be her answering questions from Kat. She didn't think that Kat would do this, and, what did you think Kat would do? Like, seriously, did you not think she would do this? So at the office, Kat wants to write an expose on Supergirl, and Kara's surprised to hear about it. Again, Kara's pretend like she doesn't know what she's talking about. But Kara says that she's a writer, so why not? They're going to do a special edition on their monthly magazine, and we'll throw a huge party to launch it. So they get ready to do that, and basically we then see our main villain this episode. We see a man with facial disfigurement is watching a news report. We see that Kara is Supergirl's cousin. He suits up, and when he sees that Kara is Supergirl's cousin, he suits up in an armored outfit and blasts the TV, and definitely some very interesting stuff with this villain. We'll get into him. So at the DEO, neither Henshaw nor Alex are happy that Kara gave the interview. Henshaw, by the way, no mention of whatever happened with, what happened to Henshaw, in the second episode, him possibly working for Astra. There's none of that here. Okay, but again, I felt like that was something we needed to address, and I'm sure we're going to address it eventually. I don't want this show to be something where they just completely disregard any sort of recurring storyline, because that's actually really interesting stuff, and I don't think they're going to, but this episode was very, like I said, kind of filler. Minus this, it was pretty filler. So, as they're scanning for signs of alien life, Kara vanishes to go help, and, basically arriving at the scene of a pileup on the highway. She has to do a standard mission here. She has to do something that a regular superhero would do. She has to go inside a bus, rescue the driver who has been pinned inside the vehicle, and, she has to prove herself. She has to prove herself that she is a hero, and that she's not some bad, she's not gonna ruin the world like we saw last week they thought she was going to. She's still trying to prove herself. So she saves the woman, gets blasted immediately after by the armed man, and his name is Reactron. And I will admit, Reactron is extremely cheesy once again, but, they worked well what they had. I thought the effects were fine here. The two fight briefly while he's no match for Kara physically. He keeps hitting her with energy blasts that keep her back on her heels until she throws a car door at him, damaging his armor and cutting off his blast. He takes to the sky to escape, and that was a pretty awesome scene, I will say that. I didn't, I wasn't the hugest fan of Reactron, but I thought overall, the idea of him was good. I just thought him overall was very, very cheesy. They need to find a way to make these villains not cheesy, and I get that this is just supposed to be a fun show, but come on, Astra's very good and things like that. They just need to find a way to maybe tone them down a bit, because right now they're coming out as very cartoony. So at the DEO, Henshaw says they can't help Supergirl with Reactron because he's human, and that was interesting, and we found this out. Reactron is actually human, and just using advanced tech, and not an alien. So they can't help him, they can't help her out, because Reactron's not an alien, he is human. And I think it definitely is very interesting that we saw that, definitely, I thought that was interesting. So, basically, she has this threat here. And back at work, Kara comes to see Cat about party details. Cat is having trouble writing the story. She wants to have the right stuff to put into the story. Remember, she's only doing this because she wants the best story possible. That's why Cat is got the interview from Supergirl. That's why Cat is doing everything she wants with Supergirl, because she wants the most interesting story. Obviously, she wants people to read this story. She wants people to be interested in this story, and that's a topic that someone would be interested in. So outside her office, Wynn and James meet her, take her down the hall to a vacant office in the building. Not too much with Wynn in this episode, but I did really like this scene. Wynn has set up a team Supergirl cave. Think of the Foundry from Arrow or Star Labs from The Flash. Now Supergirl has one. I thought it was really good that they did that. I really enjoyed that. But like I said, Wynn, not too much in this episode. There is definitely a rivalry between these two, because every time Wynn speaks, James starts talking. I noticed that, which I thought was pretty funny. I did enjoy that overall. But, James wants her to call Superman for help, calling him Clark, which makes Wynn go crazy. The way that Wynn was just freaking out, saying, Clark Kent is Superman, Clark Kent is Superman. I mean, this is clearly someone that he's known. He never thought he'd meet someone who was a descendant of Superman, and I mean, it really does sound unreal. Wynn is us. That's us reacting. I mean, imagine if you were to meet someone who was a descendant of a superhero. I'd probably be like Wynn, and that's great. Jeremy Jordan really does the fanboying very well there. She says she can't call him for help or it will make her and the city look like an easy target, and I definitely, she doesn't think this is a good thing to do. She doesn't want them to team up because, one, he probably would want to help her, but she wants to do this on her own, and she also wants to prove that she can do something on her own without him and that she's different from him, and two, it's going to make them all a bigger target if they do that, so obviously they can't call him for help even though she wants to, and I think it definitely is very interesting. So at Lord Technology, CEO Maxwell Lord fires an engineer who has been working on a project for 3 years but didn't figure out something he wanted. He walks off talking about the appeal of a high-speed light rail, and Maxwell Lord is a very interesting character. I don't know exactly the context of the character yet. Again, I'm not that familiar with this comic, so I can't really tell you. But then we see Reactron come in looking for someone who can help him understand nuclear fission. He tries to kidnap a scientist, but Lord stops him and volunteers himself, and he wants to help him out here. So, upon hearing on the news about the attack, Supergirl takes off, but by the time she arrives, Reactron and Lord are both gone. So, she just missed them, and when Team Supergirl, that's what they're called, they're talking about what they're gonna do, Alex shows up to offer assistance, and they figure out that Reactron was a nuclear technician at a reactor that nearly melted down Superman, saved it and millions of lives, but 2 people died, a man and his wife, and it turns out the man didn't die, and now he's Reactron. Now, that's really interesting, I will say that. His origin was really good here. It wasn't so much his origin. It was just the actor himself was very over the top and really hemming it up. And, you know, again, that works for this. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. Some of it's really over the top, some of it's really hard to take seriously. But I really think the, you know, the origin I really like. The fact that this was someone that Superman worked with and that was, you know, upset with Superman avenging his wife's death. That's really interesting. That I really like, and I thought they handled that very well here. So at Reactron's lab, Max Lord offers to help Reactron to get a normal life back because, you know, he wants to be normal. But Reactron doesn't want it. He actually doesn't want to be normal. He wants a new suit so they can keep going after Superman. And, I'm just thinking here, like, are you an idiot? Like, this is Superman we're talking about. Like, he's gonna definitely beat the shit out of you. And Kara's the first one to read Cat's Supergirl story, like this, and she thinks the writing is great, but doesn't like the fact that she's attacking Supergirl, that she's making Supergirl seem like a bad person. Because again, she wants Supergirl to be shown in a positive light, and Kara tells Cat that she's being unfair to Supergirl, but Cat isn't buying it. She isn't buying Supergirl's attitude. James comes in to talk to Kara, bring her outside. Wynn has located Reactron, and Wynn is definitely going to be like the Cisco or Felicity of this show, which I like. I definitely like seeing that. I want, you know, Wynn is definitely the one to call the shots for in terms of the villains. So Kara plans on going to find him and trying to reason with him. She heads to a junkyard where Lord is tied up. When she tries to free him, Reactron pops out and attacks her. She tells Lord to run, and he does. She tries to reason with Reactron, who attacks her relentlessly. And when she's down, he's ready to attack again. Superman arrives and takes the blast, saving her. That was awesome. We don't see him really at all, and I'm happy that we didn't see Superman, and I know a lot of people are like, well, why aren't we going to see Superman? I'm going to tell you guys right now why we're not going to see Superman. If we were to see Superman now, people would be disappointed. They would say, oh, we saw Superman already, this is too soon, it was not what I wanted. I'm glad we didn't actually see him. He helped her, but we didn't actually see his face. I'm happy that they didn't do that, because they know, of course, that would disappoint everyone if they did that. So I'm happy that they chose not to show his face. So at home later, Kara wakes up, Alex and James are there, Superman had to leave while she was out, Maxwell Lord's on TV, thanks Superman for saving him, James used his signal watch to call Superman, and Kara's not happy about it, because after James leaves, this was something that Kara wanted to do on her own. She says she has to go to the party. They're then shooed out by Cat, then dances with Wynn, and meanwhile, Max Lord and Cat Grant are flirting a bit, and we know that these two do hook up. We know these two do eventually get together, so they might be going with this. He has better connection to Supergirl. Cat teases him, then leaves the party early, and I like their bonding, I will say that. I think it's pretty good. So at the DEO, Henshaw's eyes do light up, and he says Alex's name. We do get this scene here. He walks into a forensics lab to see her and confronts her about helping Kara, and she says she can't separate alien threats from human ones. And Henshaw asks her who else knows she's been using DEO facilities to help Kara. She says no, and he says good, but asks how to defeat Reactron. And interesting stuff here, how she wants Alex to help out Kara. I like seeing that. So at the party, James comes in, tells Kara that Superman wasn't her safety net. He's Olsen's, and he uses the watch when he gets him scared, and that's part of why he left Metropolis, because he doesn't want to be a sidekick. She tells him that she needs his trust, and James says that he does trust her. He's just worried about her sometimes. You know, he's not really sure if she's worried, you know, she's doing too much, definitely. I can understand why he would be worried about her. So Reactron comes in through the ceiling, demanding to know where Supergirl is, fires off a blast a nearby poster with her picture on as the crowd scatters, and as Reactron's about to go after Maxwell, Supergirl comes through the ceiling and kicks him to the ground. He threatens and then blasts her before a stray shot takes out a beam, almost kills Wynn. And I was like, no, don't kill Wynn. Wynn's awesome. And as Supergirl saves him, James distracts Reactron by holding himself up as a potential victim, which I thought was smart for James to do. Reactron follows him out of the building while Alex calls to Kara and tells her that taking out Reactron's chest plate will render him powerless, but it'll melt down immediately. She needs to cover in the lead first. Kara melts part of a lead statue onto her head, and then heads outside to battle Reactron, successfully removing the power core from the chest plate from her lead covering hand. She looks around to find James, chastising himself for putting himself at risk, and he says he knew she would have saved him, and she was able to defeat Reactron without Superman, which was awesome. I love that she was able to do that. So at the DEO, Supergirl thanks Henshaw and Alex for their help. Henshaw says he guesses that they're in the Supergirl business from now on. And when Alex asks about Kara's plans for the night, Kara suggests a movie night with her sister, but Alex tells her to ask out James instead. And she keeps calling him Jimmy, obviously wants to be called James. So then we see at James's office, his ex-girlfriend, Lucy Lane, is there. And yes, this is Lois Lane's sister, I believe, and he asks her to be left alone with her. He has to be left alone with her, and she spies on them when Lucy asking him to get dinner and talk. James says okay, although neither of them really seem that happy about it. Kara's really upset. She goes back to her desk where Wynn asks her what's wrong. She blows him off there, and it's sad because obviously he wants to be with her, but she just blows him off. And there she gets a text from Clark. She thanks him for the rescue. Clark says it won't happen again and tells her that she's doing great. And again, if this is going to be the way they do Superman, I'm fine with this. I don't want to actually see him because, like I said, it's going to be disappointing. Do I want them to show Superman eventually? Yes, but now is not the time to do that. Now is the time to build up that... Are we going to see Superman? Who is he going to be? What's he going to look like? Is Tom Welling coming back? Those are things that, we want to know. So I like the way they're building it up. Definitely really great stuff there. And I like the way we're getting subtle appearances from him here and there. Definitely really good with that. So later at Alex's apartment, Alex tells Kara that she read Cat's story, and then she tells Cat secretly respects Supergirl. She takes off out the window at the sound of a siren, off for her next mission, and that's basically how the episode ends. So overall, guys, that's really all that happened in this episode. There really wasn't too much to say about this one. This was just a really great episode. I definitely really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's my least favorite of the three. Nothing going on with Astra, nothing going on with Henshaw, and his eyes, really nothing going on with that, nothing going on that he's an alien. But let's talk about let's talk about her, and let's talk about Lucy Lane. Lucy Lane's gonna be a very interesting character. We'll have to see what happens with her. I like that Kara tried to bond with Lucy Lane, told her that I'm the daughter, I'm the sister of someone too. I like seeing that. Definitely, I think these two are gonna bond. But James and Kara is going to be interesting. Do you think that Kara is going to ask out James? Do you think that they're going to have a bond? I don't want them to rush it. I really don't. And I hope that they're not, because I want them to take their time with this. That's why it worked well on the Arrow. That's why it worked well on the Flash, even though no one's together really right now in the Flash. It worked well on there. I think they need to handle it well here. They need to take their time. And I get that the show's trying to do something different, but they can't just get them together episode 3. That's not the time to do it. So I'm happy that they're not together yet. I like the cave. Like I said, the cave that Wynn made for them is awesome. I really do love it, I have to say. I think it's a great cave. Now, Cat is definitely very, she definitely is, she needs the details that she needs. She needs to know certain things, and it's gonna end up hurting, Kara if Cat asks for more details about Supergirl, this could really jeopardize Kara's reputation as Supergirl, because obviously Cat is portraying her in a negative light, and she's kind of criticizing her for what she did, so we'll have to see what happens with that. I do like Cat and Maxwell, though. I do think that could be interesting to see what happens with that. I do like their bonding overall. We'll have to see what happens with that. Is Kara going to convince Maxwell to turn to the good side? I'm not really sure. It seemed like he was working with Reaction, but I feel like Kara's going to try to convince him. We'll have to see what happens with that. Obviously, he knows that she's Supergirl, so we'll have to see. Well, he doesn't know that she's Supergirl, but he knows there's someone named Supergirl, so she'll have to convince him, obviously, and we'll have to see what happens with that, because that definitely is going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But overall, guys, that's really all I can say about this episode, because like I said, it was pretty filler. It wasn't a huge episode, it was a good episode overall. I still really did enjoy it. It is my least favorite of the show so far, but hopefully next week's is a lot better. I didn't see the promo for next week's episode, unfortunately, but that is my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. I still really enjoyed it. I think the cast is really solid. The villain overall was really good. It just wasn't a big episode. It was definitely more of like, if you were to binge this show, I would say this is a fine episode to skip. Watch a few parts, but you could skip it because it's not that important. Definitely episode 2 I did think was a lot better. Last week's episode I didn't think was better. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. I overall, like I said, I really did enjoy it. And I will see you guys in my next one, which will be for tonight's episode of Fargo. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.